Back from our slumber, we're ready for episode number 15 of M Pulse. Today we've got the latest numbers from Millennial Media's Mobile Mix. We start our Around the World in 80 Apps with App Circus, and our special guest is Martin Rugfeld, Chief Marketing Officer of Expert Maker. Coming up right now. Hello, Peggy. How are you?
It's going well, Rob. It's summer, almost.
It feels like it, doesn't it? It's a lot of energy out there, a lot of things happening. We're still in spring, but man, I just got back from a great week of outdoor freshness in Lake Placid, New York. It was just a wonderful week. It really does feels like summer. The doldrums of the winters, the cobwebs have just evaporated. We're feeling good.
It's a great time to make our comeback, I have to say. So it's a fresh start. That's what
it is,
feels
and there's
like.
so much in the show. But I got to ask at the very beginning, Peggy, how are things going with the book? You guys, you're knee deep in this in research. Well, how are things going?
I am indeed knee deep. I mean, I've got quite a lot of it. Some of it I still print out, I have to admit. I'm a little bit of a paper person. But on the other hand, I have to say it's fascinating. These one-on-one interviews with brands, marketers, thought leaders. I have to correct some of my preconceived notions about what I thought I knew about mobile marketing and advertising, because they're telling me some amazing things. I really am. I have to say, I'm hearing a little bit of I wouldn't say dissatisfaction, but there's some rethinking about apps and their place in everything. Yes, they do have a place, but there's a lot of thinking about the idea that it could be really just at the end of the purchase funnel, so it's more like engagement and not really just download my app, hi, here I am. So a little bit of a confirmation about what we've been talking about all along, and I'll be sharing these as we go along. Maybe not always naming names, I can't do that, but I can bring out some key insights that I think are real eye-openers. They are for me.
I can't wait, because I was talking with somebody yesterday around the whole need for around mobile marketing and around apps. Is that there's definitely a follow the leader mentality in this thing, and there's a consumer's report for electronics, for cars, for clothing, for anything that you want, but there's no consumer's reports for marketing initiatives in the mobile space, because people try stuff and they just follow and they just do what everybody else is doing, but they don't. There's got to be a way to prove whether or not this stuff works. So it's really interesting. In retrospect, what you're doing for this book is really going to shed a lot of light on what does work, what doesn't work, and what companies are in and out of. I can't wait. When's it going to be ready?
That's actually a little bit of, well, I do know the date, but I can't really say, because it's a little bit of a surprise. There'll be parts coming out. I'll be sharing it, but let's just say it's work in progress, and what I can share, Beautiful. I will. And it's really, I mean, that's precisely it. It's supposed to go beyond what we're hearing at the conferences, what we're hearing in the industry. I'm really talking to the people doing it. It's very practical. It's very focused on thought leadership, and really trying to distill everything out there. So it is, as you said about the apps, they have their place. They absolutely have their place, but it's in a well-thought strategy, well executed. It's not like, oh, the CMO has an iPhone and his daughter just downloaded a bunch of apps or something. It's not about that at all, which is, unfortunately, where we've been up to this point, which is why we need the book.
Well, I can't wait for it to be done. I know it's a lot of effort that's gone into it, but the illumination from the research that you've got is going to be well worth it. So we'll keep doing these updates to see how things are going, and certainly bring those striking things that you think go against the grain of what we all think or as conventional wisdom around this space, because we just need to spread this as much as we possibly can within the limits of our ability, obviously.
Well, I'm doing my part, but of course I'm also extremely interested in following your speakers at your event, because you have some of my absolute favorite. I mean, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not watching, following, reading Sydney Eve Matrix, for example. She is the queen of mobile education, so you have quite a lineup. I have to congratulate you on it.
Thank you, Peggy. That was a beautiful transition. I love that. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. We have rounded out the speaking schedule. We're still closing a few new speakers, and it's like one new every day. But as you said, we're running on Tether Talks. It's June 26th and 27th in Toronto at the Glenn Gould Studio. I'm so pumped, just simply because of this is a conference that I would want to go to. And I'm very picky and finicky about the ones that I go to. But when you've got guys like folks like Sydney Eve and Amber MacArthur and Damien Patton, who is the CEO of a company called Banjo. We've talked about him. Yasser Ansari, which is he's this guy who he started a company called Project Noah, and this is an incredible project that is basically Charles Darwin and indexing the planet's vegetation, animals, and putting it out into the cloud for everybody to identify or do research on. And basically, he's trying to take the pulse of the planet. It's very cool, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring this kind of TED-like piece to the mobile space and look at the influencers. And I'm pumped. Untether Talks. I could speak about it forever, but just go and take a look at untethertalks.com. It's just it's such a rich conference. 25 now 26 speakers over 2 days. Man, don't know where else you're going to get that kind of stuff. It's in Toronto. If you're in North America, come on up, please. We're going to dive into Millennial Media's numbers here, and these are influential numbers. Can you get kind of, as we move into this, can you give me a little bit of a background on what Millennial Media is and the research that they've done here, because it's pretty powerful research and really, really important for developers out there to know. So let's start our segment.
Millennial Media, as you may or may know, it's one of the largest independent mobile ad networks. It's also a mobile advertising platform company. More importantly, it's a data company, and you have to go to the site. Every month there's a report coming out based on the ad impressions across the network, which is, considerable. And on top of that, it's always a focus on something important that's showing up in the data. So it's not just numbers saying, here's some numbers, here's a spreadsheet, download it. It's actually analytics. And in this case, in the case of the mobile mix that just came out last week, it's also about the trend that I think is huge about how tablets are transforming mobile advertising.
Well, and we are seeing that in such a considerable way right now. With this data that they provided here, that I think there's anecdotal evidence, because everywhere you turn, people are playing with a tablet of some sort, and we're going to get into those numbers. But I think that it's always been anecdotal, but now we get to see the real impact of what is going on in the tablet market, and that's so important for developers. So why don't we start with what struck you as the most important thing that you're seeing that came out of the mobile mix?
Well, what it is it's data that confirms things we think we know. So that's always important. So we think we know there's the advance of tablets. We think we know it because we're reading about it. I think it was recently Samsung said it's on its way to selling 10 million Galaxy Notes. Don't quote me on that. I don't have it right in front of me.
They crossed over 9 million notes. Yeah.
Okay, 9 million notes. So you say, wow, something must be happening. Yes, something really is happening. According to the data from Millennial Media, we know that tablets now account for 1 in 5 ad impressions. So that is telling us that I wouldn't say that there's a crossover, but I would say there's a significant migration of our behavior, that we're, the views of these ads migrating from smartphone to tablet, or what they call non-phone devices. That's significant. And again, for our community, our audience, it means keep tablet on your radar. Don't ignore it when you're thinking about your apps, whether you're developing them or whether you're a brand thinking about how to present yourself. It means either apps or it means websites. A tablet optimized website. That's going to be a headache for both of us soon.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, it was a lot easier just building for 2 browsers back in the day. That's my view, right?
No, that's gone. So some of this, if you dig down just a bit deeper, what I think is interesting is that these non-phone mobile devices are showing basic hockey stick growth. I mean, as I said, they're generating 20% of all the ad impressions across the Millennial Media mobile advertising platform during the first quarter of this year. That's an increase of 1/3 or 33% over the previous year. And we see that, again, the share of impressions from connected devices, including tablets, a year ago was 15%. So you put all this together, as Millennial Media does, and again, it's about a shift that marketers must factor, I think, into their mobile advertising strategies. Another interesting point for everyone out there with the smartphone feature phone, and I am like this. I'm in rest of world where feature phone, as you know, Rob, from our interviews across Africa, I mean, that is the phone. But still, nonetheless, you have to consider that depending on the market you're looking at, feature phones down from over 20% to 7%. That's quite a drop. That shows you that we are upgrading to smartphones no matter how we no matter how we can get them. Maybe we're buying them used, I don't know, but we have smartphones, and that cannot be ignored.
You know, what's interesting about that is I think somewhere in the research that what they talked about was the fact that we're not seeing a massive expansion in the number of devices that are out there. I mean, there are a lot of devices out there, but what we are seeing is that transition. So when you're going to upgrade your phone, you're not going from a feature phone to another feature phone. You're moving it up to a smartphone or a connected device. And then the only growth that they were talking about, the real growth, like the new growth, was in the tablets, right? Which is, you've got a pool of people who have a bunch of phones that they're upgrading in here, and there's a pool, it's 5 billion people. It just happens to be a big pool, crowded. And then they're kind of playing in here, but then what you're seeing right next to it is the rise of tablets. And the tablets are pure new growth, not replacing, not exchanging, brand new market, brand new growth. So that's where the growth is, obviously. I say growth a lot, but that's exactly where it is.
It's also showing, I think, a shift in behavior, because it's not that it's replacing it. There are lots of reports out there. We'll get to one actually in one of our upcoming shows. There's another report out there that says, well, how are we using these devices? And it's really a lot about multitasking. We're watching TV, we're doing something on the tablet, or watching TV, we're doing something on the smartphone. We have a tablet and a smartphone anyway, right? So it is entirely, not to overdo the word growth here, it is new growth because it's a new category device. And now from this newest Millennial Media report, we see that it's not only just a growth in the device, but it's also a migration of the ad views, which means there's money to be made on tablet, whether it's in advertising or in just awareness.
Yeah, and the top 5, they have this great statistic, which is the top 5 tablets in the in Q1, and obviously, as you can see on the screen here, Apple, the iPad is number 1, the Galaxy Tab is number 2, the Kindle is number 3, the Zoom is number 4, and the Playbook is number 5. I always look at these as and the top 3 there, the iPad, the Tab, and the Fire are actually in the top 20 amongst all mobile devices as well. So you're starting to see that growth pretty quickly. What I look at this as, I see that this is the number of units shipped, and there's the same thing around the percentage of operating system distributed globally. Like, obviously, it is an Android world right now, but the interesting corollary to this is that they've brought in that tremendous growth, but the growth in revenue, the one operating system that owns the revenue when it comes to development, when it comes to making money off of the platform, is iOS still. Like, it is dominant in revenue making. 83 or 84% of the revenue generated in the mobile world when it comes to smartphones and tablets is from iOS. So, the dominance of Android is just accepted. It's global. It is an Android world. The revenue opportunities right now sit squarely in iOS. That's where most of the money is being made. Right? You can't refute that. So these are the kind of things that I'd like a little bit more detail in this kind of, where is the revenue? Sure, it's a big market. Where's that revenue? Tablets are growing. Where's the revenue?
Yeah. Because as you pointed out, I mean, it's an Android world. Android has 14 out of the 20 devices.
Yep.
Right? But the one that we're really focused on still, I mean, is still Android beats out iOS in overall presence. But if you're looking at sort of, again, where the action, where the revenue is, where the activity is, it's an Apple. I mean, that will very likely change. There are some people out there with some fantastic reports about what to look for in Samsung. So, it's work in progress. Race isn't over. That's what makes it so exciting. And that's, again, why reports like this are so important to read, because it does shift. We'll see what it's like next month.
It's the best part of this. Is that it's never going to end.
Yeah. Another shift I'd like to point out, which is the last one in the report that I thought was significant, and I've written a detailed analysis about this over at Mobile Groove that you can also check out. Everyone can check out mobilegroove.com. Is also, again, the confirmation of mobile video. I mean, we've had this discussion forever about whether mobile video is, as one guy put it, I loved it, a bandwidth cockroach. I was at a conference. I thought that was the best one because it's like you have one, then you'll have a lot of them, and then they'll eat, And he said they're munching on the leafy parts of bandwidth in our networks. I thought, okay, whatever, but it's a great way to think of it. And the idea was, are we going to be able to handle mobile video? That's a different discussion, but the acceptance and adoption and uptake of mobile video is significant. And here again in this report, almost 1,000% increase in mobile views. Makes sense because the devices make it look great. I mean, video on a tablet is awesome. There are people I'm speaking with in the industry that say, commerce is fantastic because video makes everything look so good. You want to buy the product. I mean, it's like a commercial. It makes sense. But again, something to consider for developers and also advertisers looking at this medium.
Yeah, video is huge. We believe in it. I believe in it. And it's not revolutionary. And we already have these fat pipes in North America anyways, and Europe is, cable pipes or satellite pipes that push this stuff to you every day. It's why advertising on the television set works, because it makes it look great. And I think we're just waking up to the fact that, this new world is massive. One of the top 4 new industries is this broadcasting world, digital broadcasting, away from cable, like what we're doing here. Bringing that over to the mobile space only makes sense. And 958% growth. That's what it says, right? 958% growth from Q2 2011 to Q1 2012. That is an incredible amount of growth.
And also what's of interest as a last point for developers, and it's also in the graphic that you may have on the screen, is, okay, what do developers need to do or what should they do? Well, one is definitely integrate the latest SDKs. That's important because you want to be able to take advantage of these eCPMs by having all the revenue generating capabilities and technologies built in from the ground up. And the other thing is also integrate all the types of ads because yes, it is display. Yes, it is video. It's all of the above. And to be ready for that and be prepared.
So where should we send people to go to get this information? First of all, go to mobilegroove.com. There is a detailed assessment of this, but where should we send them? Just to Millennial Media's website?
millennialmedia.com/research, and there's lots there. I mean, these reports, I know them all very well because I'm working some of them into my book. There's one just recently about finance, mobile intel, all about the finance industry. They look at the industry per vertical, look at the manufacturing side of things, the mobile mix, the manufacturer's mix there, and also there's the smart report rather. So there's a lot to go through.
millennialmedia.com/research. We are here with Martin Rugfeld, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Expert Maker. It's an artificial intelligence software company based in Sweden. We want to know how important AI is to mobile and search, and why is it so important to developers? That's what we're here to find out. Welcome, Martin. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, first of all, I'd love to give you an opportunity to talk about Expert Maker. What do you guys do? This is a pretty cool space. So you have the floor to talk about Expert Maker.
Hey, brilliant. Thank you. Well, Expert Maker is a AI software company. We have basically built a platform and tools to make AI available to a lot of people. AI, as you may know, is not totally simple, and we come from a background when we saw that it needed to be made a little bit more simple for a lot of people to be able to pick it up. And when we say a lot of people, we really mean a lot of people, because we think that the internet will have to become much more intelligent, and in that case you need artificial intelligence. So what we've done is we built a platform that has a number of tools bringing together a number of different sorts of artificial intelligence. And we've also spent a lot of time making all of that advanced technology be easy to use. So it should be possible for a developer that has not taken any computer science courses or done advanced math and etc. To still be able to pick up and build cool, new, intelligent applications with this platform. And that's where we are today. We're making these tools available to developers. And when we talk about this artificial intelligence bit, it's really about taking, more human capabilities. These things that are so close to what we do today, but computers have not yet really picked up. We're talking about analysis. We're talking about diagnosis, reasoning, interaction that is more works in a better way. All of those things that are so human today, we're trying to make those capabilities available in a new way, and that's going to result in things like better recommendations, better advice, diagnosis of illnesses. It's going to be taking a lot of other things like shopping assistants and making those interactive in a new way. We have virtual assistants and so on. So lots of new things, but also in the B2B area, you can do things like more intelligent shopping procedures, like interactive or consultative selling and things like that. So all of those things that are a little bit more difficult than you would normally find online today.
I mean, do you guys start at the fringe? Artificial intelligence is so, we all have, it conjures up images in all of our minds, right? Of computers overtaking humans and, the extreme messages here. But really, Siri is a consumer-focused artificial intelligent agent, we'll say. But when you started this company, you've been around since what, 2006? Is that right?
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah.
But do you start on the fringe of things? Like, what are the first things that we humans will allow artificial intelligence to do? Because I think that there's a barrier there as well.
So we're already doing that. AI, you will find it in many places, but it's also about taking down the barriers to entry. So big companies like banks and huge corporations, they already have that for trading, for things like that. But they're a very, very expensive system. There's gone a lot of money into those systems. And you'll find it in advanced search applications and so on, machine learning, and you'll find a number of things. But it's all about bringing down the barriers and making more developers being able to use these technologies without having to be a computer scientist and having done several years of doing that. So that's the point, really. Everybody should be able to do this.
So on the point that many people want to be doing this, many developers will be able to do it if you're making it that easy. My question is, where then is the opportunity within all of this? Because yes, it's about being more precise, but search, at least the first impression of search is that, Google ate our lunch already. And when it comes to Amazon, recommendations, Amazon is also having quite a meal, if you want to look at it that way. So I guess the question is, where is the opportunity within these two camps?
Well, you already see that there's a lot of things happening when it comes to search. And the most interesting thing is mobile, because the mobile search behavior doesn't look at all like the web search behavior. Today we have something like 1 out of 99 searches are on the mobile phone when it comes to keyword search. But that's not because people don't search on a mobile. It's because they're using applications instead. So application has been able to give people a better experience, so that they moved over to that rather than keeping within this broad general search. There's other problems with the current keyword approach. As the web is expanding very rapidly, but we have a feeling that the technology behind keywords isn't keeping up with the evolution of the space around it, basically the size of the internet, and also the fact that people want to be able to do more things, like get recommendations. That's a form of search, getting advice, getting diagnostics, and also the personalization bit of a search. All of those factors bring together that search has to evolve, and keywords are just not being able to keep up with that. So we're seeing that people are moving to apps instead. And I think that's a very interesting step, because the most forward-looking apps, they are actually then already starting to incorporate more advanced technology like artificial intelligence or advanced mathematics, etc. We saw that Apple has already bought both Siri and Trump. Very interesting that they pick up these high-tech companies that are providing a new experience. I think we're going to see a lot more evolution in this area, and that it's not only about keyword search for facts. It's going to be a much deeper interaction with users, and apps are actually more well positioned to do that. So we may very well see a totally different setup for how search is being done going forward.
I mean, the good news is obviously there's going to be, a wealth of alternative search engines / apps. That's great. So it means there's room for innovation, there's room for opportunity. Our lunch has not yet been eaten. On the other hand, you talked about diagnosis, you've talked about recommendation. Could we just deep dive a little bit more in here to talk about where the real opportunity is? I mean, if I'm a developer saying, yes, you're absolutely right, I need to have more advice in my app, or I need to take this approach. Are there specific verticals or areas where this really works? I mean, I saw, for example, a guest column from Expert Maker where it was all about commerce being the end game. Others might say it's about medical search. What are your thoughts there? What are you seeing?
I think that we're going to see a broad adoption of intelligent tools in the area of applications, and I think all sites needs to become much more intelligent. But obviously, it's going to be in the areas that are more commercially attractive to start off with. And e-commerce is obviously one of them. Another one of them is medical, as you point out. So both of these are high value segments where a lot of things are already starting to happen. So it's going to be, they are going to lead this, I think. But we also see it in other areas like information overload. We're running a hackathon on the theme of news overload. To just look at how we can improve the experience in that area. So I think it's going to be a broad thing, and we're going to see bleeding edge company and leading edge company picking off various verticals in this area. But obviously e-commerce and m-commerce is going to lead this.
You said something that's so interesting there around, part of the talk of mobile's impact on our lives is that it's going to democratize things like healthcare or diagnoses and the things that will become, medicine becomes preventative as a result of mobile devices that are monitoring our heart rate and monitoring our glucose and our blood pressure. So it's very interesting. So, that's a form of search, isn't it? It's basically taking a bunch of inputs, what your heart rate is, what you just ate, what time of day, how much exertion you've just been under, the stress level that you're under, and it's combining it into something, and it's giving you a response or a result ultimately. And that's all done through inference and through AI, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a big part big data, obviously, because there's going to be absolutely massive volumes of data. But it's also going to be about knowledge. You don't become a doctor just because you read a book on it. You have to actually practice it, and you have to work with it, evolve as you learn from it, and so on. So these not only is it large volumes of data, it's about learning as you go along. But that's not enough. You have to have the all of the inference and the knowledge that comes from people that has done it. So we have to be able to pull out that knowledge out of doctors and so on and make it available down to very specific diagnostic tools that you have. So it's going to be the full spectrum there, from picking data from ourselves all the time, all the way over to having expert consultations with computer support and second opinion support from AI and so on.
I like to ask this question. It's a non sequitur, but because I'm in the mobile space and what we're doing here is it's such a revolution going on. I got to ask, would this have been able to have been done without this insane growth that we're seeing in the mobile space, the devices that we're carrying? Did this really herald the first real opportunity for AI as a disruptor?
Yeah, I think it does play a large part in doing so. And the reason is, I suppose, that the technology that we have today with the mobile space has become so cheap because of the huge volumes. I mean, it's billions and billions of devices out there. So without that kind of volume, you wouldn't have gotten the cost down to the level where it's being affordable to do some of those things that we do today. But I mean, it's also at the same time something that would have happened eventually anyway. But it speeded up things because it's an idea that just have to happen in the end. You can't stop evolution, and this artificial intelligence technology, it just has to happen. We demand it from a people's perspective. We need, I mean, we're moving more and more of our lives online all the time. But as long as the services are not getting more intelligent, we're just going to have a total overload. It's not until you have a way to get help from these applications that you use that you're going to be able to move significant more amounts of your time online. So they have to evolve, and this will happen. And this would have happened even without the mobiles, but it would have taken longer.
So could we conclude from that, if we look at what's happening in mobile, where, it's really about connected devices? There's so much I'm writing. I mean, there's not a day that goes by now that I'm not writing about tablets or smart TVs, where before it was all about mobile. And now I'm thinking, wow, mobile's becoming a prefix. And when you talk about we're getting an overload of information and we're getting on a platform that we really can't comprehend that information on. It's a small screen, it has form factor problems. But then when you look at the cross-media opportunities, I mean, do you get excited about this? Do you say, yeah, this is actually where dollar signs, huh, Martin?
Yeah. I mean, it's tremendously exciting. I mean, already it's cross-platform, obviously, and looking at your mobile device and your tablet, and you have the same apps on both of them, and they're connected, and you're sharing the same information on your laptop, and making sure that you have everything always available to you. And I think, I mean, we're definitely going in the direction of where we'll have smart glasses or lenses or anything that will help us. But in the meantime, before we have those, we're going to use the mobile device as a screen that supports us. And I mean, I'm noticing nowadays that even at work, I have my laptop, I have my screen, but I also have my tablet next to it, which I use every now and then while sitting there, and I have my mobile phone, which I also use simultaneously. So all of these things are just cluttering my desk and helping me in every situation. The really personal one is the mobile. It's really, really personal. And I'm the only user of that one. And then the tablet, well, my son has that one too. And so on. I think, I mean, cross-platform makes me really excited because it's only the beginning. It's really only the beginning. Well, first we're going to get these intelligent glasses and so on that affect things for us. We saw the Google glasses, and they're beginning of an augmented reality. And then it's going to come even further than that. And we're going to have brain implants and all of that eventually. But let's take a step at a time. I think that's more sensible. The interesting thing with these activities, I think, and when you look at Google Glasses, for instance, is that these services need to be intelligent too. And most of these services is just about putting in a new interface on something that more or less exists. The interesting bit is when you can get help from them, when they filter your world in an intelligent way, when they let messages through, but only the important one when you're at work, for instance, or only the filters out the work ones when you're at home, and when you and provides you with timely restaurant recommendations just before lunchtime. So when you pick up your phone, the first thing you'll see at a quarter to whatever time you go to lunch, the first thing you'll see on the top of the screen is your daily restaurant recommendations, deeply personal, knowing what you want at that time, and learning from your behavior, and looking at your context. So fully context aware, very, very, very personal, and intelligent. So knowing when there's clothes coming into H&M or Zara or whatever it may be, and saying, hey, there's some clothes coming up that you might be interested in, and not based on just the next offer. It's actually based on a personal profile of yourself, your build, your color of your hair and eyes and everything. Just bringing together a really personal profile, the kind of service you would get if you go into a store and you have a really, really good salesperson there. Now that is where we're heading, and that is the intelligent bit that we need. So it's not only about having a new interface. It's well, actually a lot more about the personalization and everything else.
Can I just leave you with this thought, Martin? I was taking some notes as you spoke, and just by accident, I wrote down that real artificial intelligence is making our lives a no-brainer. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, that's where we're heading, Peggy. You're spot on. I mean, that's where we have to be heading, because otherwise it's going to keep on getting more and more overloaded. We already know that we can't read all of the blogs and everything, so we're starting to use different services for filtering and so on, and they're getting better and better. And we have filters on our emails, and we're trying to do these things, but we're really just touching the surface today. We need every service to behave like that. They all have to be intelligent. They all have to remember you, and they probably need to do that distributed to that very service. Nobody can do H&M clothes better than H&M. So I think we're also going to see a much more branded internet where these services that you have, and that's already started with apps. So we're just following on from an app world. So the app way of doing things is going to be emphasized by this intelligent technology, and it's going to be more branded, and it's going to be absolutely more personal and contextual.
What this really says to me, and I think that when we look through this very time, when we look back at this very time, we will look at a behemoth like like the search engines out there that own the web, as you said at the beginning, mm-hmm. Peggy. But I think this is where we're at an inflection point, because the opportunities, what you've just described in 20 short minutes, are far greater than the combined opportunity that was there for search on the web beforehand. I think that what you're talking about heralds in, a next level where incumbents like Google, like any of these search engines, like Facebook, can be disrupted as a result of combining the right amount of information at the right time, contextualizing it, and presenting that to the right person. It sounds to me like it's just rife with opportunity for disruption. Absolutely.
I mean, you're spot on. That is what it's going to happen to. And it's natural to think that the web or the internet would stop now. That's just ludicrous. So, in fact, it's only going to go faster. It's only going to go bigger. That's the way it's heading.
So you have an event that's coming up that we would love to give you an opportunity to plug here, so that anybody who's interested can participate. Why don't you explain what this is? This is a competition?
Yeah, well, it's a hackathon. So we're running a hackathon together with Vodafone Zone in Redwood City. It starts on the 8th of June. It goes on for the weekend. And it's all about creating a smart way of handling information or in particular news overload. So we already have a huge information overload and news overload. So what we've done is we've made our platform available to this developer community, and we're trying to get as many developers as possible to sign up and start using this technology and this platform to build intelligent apps. And we're running a hackathon on our first hackathon, I should say, and hopefully we'll have a lot of them coming up. And this one is on the theme of news overload, and I'm really excited about it because it is a pressing need to sort out this news overload situation. So we hope that these developers will join us and build some really cool intelligent applications over the weekend.
So how do people find out more information about that? Just go to expertmaker.com?
Exactly. So there's links on the first page, and there's sign up and everything. It's all about it's called the Vodafone AI Hackathon.
Very cool. AI is a no-brainer, right? Is that what you said?
That's it.
It has to be a no-brainer. I
Yes.
love this. You know, this is the I think, as we said, we're ushering in a new era around this, and I know that this has been going on for far longer than Siri, far deeper than Siri, and I think that this is a perfect example of kind of enlightening what the opportunities are. So I thank you, Martin, for doing this. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing this with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
We have been speaking with Martin Rugfeldt, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for a company called Expert Maker based out of Sweden. Go to www.expertmaker.com. Thank you, Martin. Mpulse is going around the world in 80 apps with our ongoing new feature with App Circus. We're doing this just to show you the global impact of this app economy. With us today is Rudy Dewala, co-founder of App Circus. Rudy, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Good afternoon, and thanks for inviting me here in the show.
Well, we are excited to have you on. We're excited about this feature. We're excited to show just the huge impact that this app economy is having, not just in our local markets, but around the world, and true impact. There's a lot of articles being written about the detriment of mobile and how it's a distraction, and we're going to show the impact in a positive way that these apps are having on the global population. So we're really, really, really glad to be doing this with you and App Circus. So thank you so much. Before we get into the app, as this is our first episode, why don't you tell us about App Circus?
So yeah, App Circus started off in September 2010. It's actually very simple. It's a showcase of apps where developers pitch their apps to an audience in front of a jury. So we do that all over the world. We have done over 90 events since then, and we have covering areas like Latin America, US, Africa, Europe, Russia, Asia, and so developers basically they sign their app up on the platform appcircus.com. Yeah, so they have an app profile there, and then usually a jury selects 10 apps to pitch. And that's it. So the audience is usually a variation of the ecosystem, like industry experts are in there, the telcos are in there, brands are coming in there, developers are coming in there, and we do events for 100 people, 150, 200 on average, but we also do bigger events of 400, 500 people sometimes. So this year we also started doing verticals. We have done already one on health. We're going to start doing apps on music. There's going to be apps on sports, and this shows that this industry is just starting and actually maturing. So we also start actually building ecosystems around 4 brands actually with developers. So what we do is actually, in case of that brands would go to an agency to create an app, we tell them actually, no, why don't you create a whole ecosystem of apps around your brand? So all this goes through App Circus. It's of course, it's an evolving brand. We're very active. We have a team of 12 people now operating here from Barcelona. We're going to set up offices in London very soon. And yeah, it's the exciting thing is that it's global. And at the same time, we go very local. So we get a lot of input of innovations that are happening everywhere around the planet. So, you know, the difficulty in apps is that, you know, you can only see the 10 or 20 apps in your list on your phone. It's very hard to discover new apps. While we have actually an incoming flux of apps every week, you know, through our events, and they come from every corner of the world. So that's what we're going to show you a bit over here in this show. Yeah, so to give examples of really apps that are significant for society, and yeah, that actually, you know, apps are enabling many things for citizens, yeah, and for people around the world. And they're also a way for brands to connect to consumers. So I think that's our main vision. That many people still think it's about mobile, or they all think now it's all about mobile. actually our vision, it's about, it's about apps. Apps are the center of what is happening, so you can consume from your mobile, but you can consume it on your desktop, you can consume it on your TV, and soon you're going to be consuming apps in your car or also in your fridge. So they're going to be everywhere, right? So, and this is just starting. We truly believe in that.
Well, we're going to get to your pick of the app in a moment, Rudy, but I have to say I've known you for a couple of years now, and I had no idea what App Circus was becoming. So if we were still doing our Goblet of Rock part of the show, I would raise it to you. There, you can raise your water, because I didn't realize what a connector role you're playing. So I really have to applaud you for that, because it is an economy. It's a fledgling economy. It's great that something like the App Circus is there to sort of bring these partners of the ecosystem together, have verticals connect brands with apps. That's pretty smart, because they might go off to an agency and the agency wouldn't really have that much of a clue about the app. So yeah, excellent. I salute you. I don't know if Rob, you want to add something to that? We'll just praise Rudy here.
It is. This is, the act of discovery is the biggest challenge, and it's a broken act right now. People are building great applications that get buried in the long tail. And I think that what you're doing here, it takes elbow grease. It takes a lot of work to be able to create awareness for your application. And entrepreneurs, developers need these kind of avenues. So big fan of what you're doing with App Circus. So I can't wait to get into helping you promote some of these great applications. So why don't we get started?
Yeah, sure. So one other thing we're also doing is actually we're participating in a European project where we have it's called Open Cities. And we do a challenge there. It's called the Open Cities App Challenge. You can all find that information on appcircus.com, where actually we get to developers that are interested in creating apps with open data from 8 European cities, including Helsinki, Amsterdam, London, Paris, Berlin, Barcelona, Rome, Bologna. And so these are actually for apps or for developers to create apps that will benefit or do good, or for citizens in the city. Yeah, so it's really, we really believe it's about ecosystems, right? So you build ecosystems with developers and you can do a lot of things there, right? It's not just about an agency creating an app around an idea. It's about how many ideas can you generate, in one area. Yeah, and you can go with that in every corner of the world, basically. So yeah, we're pretty ambitious about that, and we have lots of plans. Of course, we have to do everything step by step. So, you'll be hearing all about it. So yeah, one of the apps actually that I wanted to show or to start off with is FrogTech.
There are over 500,000 small shopkeepers in Colombia, many of which are women. These women micro-entrepreneurs open a small store in their neighborhoods, sometimes from their living rooms, so that they can support their family and provide a needed service for their communities. However, many of these women do not have the education or tools to run their own business efficiently, and as a result, profits suffer and many businesses go bankrupt. Damaris has been using TiendaTech for more than 4 months, and as a result, she can now better manage her inventory, track product sales, and see how her store is performing financially in real time. Moreover, she can also keep better track of credit sales, which can be an important source of income. By tracking fixed costs such as rent and public service, she knows how much revenue she needs to earn each day in order to be profitable. Via special alert in the phone, she also knows when a popular product is about to run out, so she has time to order more. With the reports in the phone, she can easily track daily, weekly, and monthly finances, total profits and costs, the best and the worst products, as well as many other operating metrics. Through the video tutorials that not only learn how to use the application, but also best practice in retail sales and business administration. Our network of TiendaTech users help women earn more income as well as access new sources of credit, Moreover, they develop a stronger relationship with supplier, customer, and each other.
FrogTech is actually is an app that empowers micro entrepreneurs through business tools and mobile devices. So they are based in Spain and New York City, and they are operating actually in Colombia and Mexico. So what they do, it's a for-profit social venture that is dedicated actually to help micro entrepreneurs. Yeah. So for example, they help shopkeepers in these in emerging countries. So they run like now trials in Colombia and Mexico, and the shopkeepers just with a mobile application can actually do the whole management of their shop. Yeah, the inventory, so they can scan their inventory with a barcode scanner. They have a whole accounting system in there, basically to run their shop, to run their orders and all that. So it helps them really like to manage better their business. It's also really good for the whole distribution system, who can much better than plan the distributions and things like that. So I think it's a great app. So the video shows it here. There's some female shopkeepers actually talking about their experience with that. So I believe it's talked in Spanish, but it's subtitled in English. So you can follow the video, or you can follow that here.
Is this a trend? I just got to ask you that you're seeing is this social goodness, this combination of an app that is a for-profit company like FrogTech, but they're servicing a clientele that is just in need of something like this. So they're doing some social good, but they're also making money. Is this something that you're starting to see more and more, enabling these micro entrepreneurs?
Well, I think every region has different needs, right? So, for example, in Africa, it's all about transparency. We see a lot of apps there that are created to create more transparency, to basically report on holes in the roads, to report on elections, to report on public spending, things like that. So they're not really interested in that. Of course, there's a lot of entertainment apps also and communication apps, but they're not really interested in brands or things like that. It's a lot about that. In Colombia, for example, there was an app there which is called Taxi Seguro, which is basically an app that is they have this thing in Bogota where you can actually be kidnapped in your taxi, right? And it's called it has something like Ronda Millonario or something. So and the creators of the app just focused on the creating an emergency button in there that would track your location and send it to your family and the authorities. So every region have different priorities, have different trends. But on the social entrepreneurship, I would say the guys of FrogTech are just plain smart, because they solve a user need. They help a lot of people actually by enabling them in running better their business. But on the other side, it's a really smart business model for them too. Yeah. So as of now, they're just putting the app to the market. But if all this business is running through your application and you're able to just take a simple cut of that, well, that's a big business in a couple of years. So, and I think these are actually the smart apps. It's not, you don't have to be in the top 10 or top 20 to make money with apps. Yeah. So I think a lot of the smart apps are actually positioning to gather a lot of people or a lot of goods through their app, and then later on take a cut out of that. Yeah. So it's pure investment in an idea, in a business idea for the future.
Okay, well, Rudy, as we spoke, it's going to be around the world in 80 apps, which is awesome. And we'll be going through 79 more. In the meantime, until next week, you're doing these App Circus events. You're doing a lot of events connecting the community. What's next for you, Rudy?
Upcoming events we have now, hold on, let me look at the calendar. On June 13, we have Mexico DF. June 21, we have Barcelona. which will also start a new concept. We always try to, iterate a bit around the ideas and what we can bring, how we can bring value to the ecosystem, to developers and also to the platforms, right? So in Barcelona, we're going to launch a one-to-one speed mentoring for your app. So which means that actually developers can sign up to App Circus and they can get, a 10-minute one-to-one mentoring with industry experts about that app, whether it's on the tech side, whether it's on the design side, whether it's on the business side. Yeah. So because there's lots of young developers coming in that actually trying to figure out, if you can code an app, you can do that in a couple of months, or you can learn in 6 months. You can learn coding languages, but then still you don't know how to make maybe how your app will look best and how to make money with it, how to position. So there's really a need of a lot of training and mentoring for these people. So that's a new thing that we're going to try out in Barcelona. On June 26th, we're going to be in Lisbon. And on July 4th, we're going to do an event in London again, and we're going to do that at Google Campus. So we're happy to collaborate with Google Campus there. It's going to host our event, and we're going to track there all the latest and new apps from London and UK.
Very, very, very good. Listen, Rudy, we really appreciate you doing this. This is episode number 1 of this, or segment number 1 of this. We are going around the world in 80 apps. We can't wait to do this again next week. We've been speaking with Rudy Duela, who is the co-founder of App Circus, and he will be around next time for Around the World in 80 Apps. Thanks, Rudy.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Peggy. See you next week.